Hey guys, D-Cards here, bringing you a special video this week of a review on the Order of Spellcasters structure deck. Before we begin that, just a reminder, if we can get up to 50 subscribers, I will be doing giveaways, so like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to see new content. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive on in, guys. Okay guys, this is my custom playmat once again of the Change of Heart card. It's even got side deck, banished, and extra monster zones. It's got everything on it. If you're interested in it, let me know. We can work something out. And then before we do the opening and review, I'll show you guys something I've been working on. A custom made Yugioh, all holographic, full art, even with the back. Okay, now let's go ahead and get on into the opening, guys. I honestly have not even looked at what's in this yet, so I will be seeing it all with you guys for the first time. If we can even get it out of the box. Okay. Let's go ahead and before we begin that, let's go ahead and see what its playmat looks like. Okay, there's this paper playmat, guys. Yep, it doesn't fold down anymore. It's just got half of the extra monster zones there. But there you all are. There is the Order of Spellcasters playmat, with all of its extra stuff on the back to help you out with the deck. Okay. Ooh, that's a definitely interesting promo for the Legacy of the Duelist game. Let's see here, where is my seal to make this easy? It's normally a easy seal, but this one does not, apparently does not have it. There we are. Wow, this deck just does not want to open, guys. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll do this then. There we go, that should do it. Now, okay, as a reminder guys, my custom cards, I do a bunch of different ones, special tokens, and all those kinds of things. So if you're interested, let me know. So we've got a promo for Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. They're adding links to it now. Pre-order it. It comes out this summer. Then, of course, our promo for Duel Links, which has been out for a couple years now, guys. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look here. First, we have Edmund, the Mighty Master of Magic. Pendulum 8. As Pendulum effect, you can remove 6 spell counters from your field. Special summon this card from the Pendulum Zone. Then count the number of cards you control that have a spell counter. Destroy up to that many cards on the field. And if you do, place spell counters on this card equal to the number of cards destroyed. You can use this effect once per turn. And in his normal effect, so once per turn when a spell or trap card is activated, quick effect, you can return 1 card you control with a spell counter to the hand. If you do, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Then you can place the same number of spell counters from this card that the returned card had. When this card has a spell counter, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. When this card with this spell counter is destroyed by battle, you can add 1 normal spell from your deck to your hand. He is at level 7 with 2800 attack and 1700 defense. Only downside to him is spell counters are a little slow for the current game. But up next, Reflection of Endymion. A level 7 monster with a pendulum scale of 2, with this pendulum effect being, each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card when that spell resolves. You can remove 3 spell counters from this card, special summon both this card from the pendulum zone and 1 monster from your hand that you can place a spell counter on. And if you do, place 1 spell counter on each. Regular effect. You can only special summon Reflection of Endemons once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and 1 card you control with a spell counter, except this card. Return that opponent's card and your card to the hand. Then place the same number of spell counters on this card that your returned card had. When this card with a spell counter is destroyed by battle, add 1 Enderman card from your deck to your hand. Attack of 1850, defense of 2700. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Okay, next is Spell Power Mastery. Add 1 Enderman card from your deck to your hand, and then you can count the number of Spell Power Mastery and Spell Power Grasp you control and have in your graveyard. Then you can place as many spell counters among cards you control that you can place a spell counter on. You can only activate 1 Spell Power Mastery per turn. Dwimmed Path. Target 1 spellcaster effect monster in your graveyard. Add it to your hand. You can only activate 1 Dwimmed Path per turn. That's actually not a bad card. Then Daybreaker, the Shining Magical Warrior. A Link 2 monster requiring 2 spellcasters. This card is a link summon. Place 1 spell counter on it. It gains 300 attack for each spell counter on it. You can only activate each of the following effects once per turn. First effect, spellcaster monster is special summoned to its zone. This card points to. Place 1 spell counter on this card. Effect number 2, you can remove 2 spell counters from this card, then target 1 card on the field to destroy it. Attack of 1600. There's the Link monster. Up next is Magister of Endymion. A level 3, pendulum scale of 8, attack of 1500, defense of 900. Pendulum effect. Each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card. Special summon both this card from your pendulum zone and 1 face-up monster from your extra deck that you can place a spell counter on. If you do, place 1 spell counter on it. A normal effect. You can special summon Magister of Endymion once per turn. When this card declares an attack, remove 1 spell counter on it. Or place 1 spell counter on it. Once per turn, quick effect. Per opponent's turn, quick effect. You can remove 3 spell counters from your field. Special summon 1 monster from your deck that you can place a spell counter on. If this card is in the monster zone, is destroyed, you can place this card in your pendulum zone and place the same number of spell counters on it that it had as a monster. So he keeps his counters in his pendulum zone. Up next, Servant of Endymion, a level 3, pendulum scale 2. Each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card. Special summon both this card from your pendulum zone and 1 monster from your deck with 1000 or more attack that you can place a spell counter on. And if you do, place 1 spell counter on each. Regular effect. You can only special summon 1 Servant of Endymion per turn. This card with a spell counter can attack directly once per opponent's turn. Quick effect, discard 1 card, place 1 spell counter on each card you control that can have a spell counter on it. If this card in your monster zone is destroyed, place this card in your pendulum zone. You can place it. Then place the same number of spell counters on it that it had as a monster. Attack of 900, defense of 15. Endymion the Master Magician. He is a level 7 with 2700 attack, 1700 defense. Effect, you can special summon this card from your hand by removing 6 spell counters from Magical Citadel of Endymion you control. Special summon this way, target one spell in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. Once per turn, you can discard one spell, and then target one card on the field, destroy that target. Crusader of Endymion is a level 4 Gemini with 1900 attack and 1200 defense. This card is treated as a normal monster while face up on the field. Once per turn, you can target one face up card on the field that can place a spell counter on. Place one spell counter on it, and if you do, this card gains 600 attack until the end of the turn. Defender of Magical Knight, level 4, 1600 attack, 2000 defense. This card is normal summon, place one spell counter on it. You can only hold one. Once per turn, if a spellcaster monster on the field would be destroyed, you can remove one spell counter from your field for each of those monsters destroyed instead. Mythical Beast Cerebus, level 4, 1400 attack, 1400 defense. Each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card when the spell is resolved. This card gains 500 attack for each spell counter on it. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, remove all spell counters on it. Mythical Beast Medusa is a level 4, Pendulum Scale 4, attack 15, defense 1500. If you have no cards in your other Pendulum Zone, you can target one monster in your graveyard that you can place a spell counter on, destroy this card, and if you do, special summon that monster. If you do that, place one spell counter on it. You can only use this effect of Mythical Beast Medusa once per turn. Regular effect, each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves once per turn during the battle phase, quick effect, you can remove two spell counters from your field. Then target one face-up monster on the field. Its attack and defense become half its current attack and defense until the end of this turn. Magical Something, a level 4, attack of 1800, defense of 1300. Each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, this target's level is increased by the number of spell counters on it. You can remove 3 spell counters from this card, then target one quick play spell in your graveyard. Set that card in your spell trap card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Magical Exemplar, level 4, attack of 1700, defense of 1400. Each time a spell card is activated, place 2 spell counters on this card. When that spell resolves, once per turn, you can remove any number of spell counters from this card. Special summon one spellcaster from your hand or graveyard whose level is equal to the number of spell counters you removed. Magical Abductor, level 4, Pendulum Scale of 3, attack of 1700, defense of 1400. Pendulum effect, each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, once per turn, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card. Add one pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. Each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, gain 100 attack for each spell counter on it. Once per turn, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card. Add one level 1 spellcaster from your deck to your hand. Disenchanter, a level 5 with 2000 attack, 2300 defense. Once per turn, target one face-up spell on the field, remove one spell counter from anywhere on the field, and if you do, return that target to the hand. Apprentice Magician, level 2, attack of 400, defense of 800. This card is summoned, target one face-up card on the field, and that you can place a spell counter on. Place one spell counter on that target. If this card is destroyed by battle, you can special summon one level 2 or lower spellcaster monster from your deck in face-down defense. Dark Magician of Chaos. During the end phase, if this card is normal or special summoned, this turn you can target one spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use the effect of Dark Magician of Chaos once per turn. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, after damage calculation, banish that opponent's monster. If the face-up card would leave the field, banish it instead. Deck of 28, defense of 26, and he's a level 8. Fairy Tale Luna. Give me 1 second. Okay. Fairy Tale Luna, level 4, attack 1850, defense 1000. When this card is normal summoned, you can add one spellcaster monster with 1850 attack from your deck to your hand once per turn. Quick effect. Target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Your opponent can send one card with the monster's name from the deck or extra deck to the graveyard to negate this effect. Otherwise, return both this card and that monster to the hand. Summoner Monk, level 4, attack of 800, defense of 1600. While this card is face up on the field, it cannot be tributed. If this card is normal summoned or flip summoned, change this card to defense position. Once per turn, if this card, you can discard one spell, special summon a level 4 monster from your deck, but that card cannot attack this turn. Spellbook Magician of Prophecy at level 2, attack 500, defense 400. This card is normal summoned or flip to face up, add a spellbook spell from your deck to your hand. Magical Undertaker. We only have 3 more monsters left, guys. Magical Undertaker, flip effect. You can target one level 4 lower spellcaster monster in your graveyard, special summon that target, attack 400, defense 400. Magician of Faith, level 1, attack 300, defense 400. Flip, target one spell in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. And Droll Lockbird, level 1, attack 0, defense 0. This card is added. If a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during the draw phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard for the rest of the turn. Cards cannot be added from either player's main deck to the hand. Okay, up next is the spells. Enderman's Lab, continuous spell. This card's name becomes Magical Citadel of Enderman while in the spell or trap card zone. Each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, once per turn after damage calculation, if your spellcaster monster is destroyed by a battle, you can remove 6 spell counters from your field. Special summon one level 7 or higher spellcaster monster from your hand or deck. You can only activate one Enderman's Lab per turn. Magical Citadel of Enderman is the field card for this deck. Each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card after it resolves. If a card with spell counters is destroyed, place its spell counters on this card. Once per turn, if you would activate a card effect by removing a spell counter from a card you control, you can remove that many spell counters from this card instead. If this card would be destroyed, you can remove one spell counter from it instead. Spell Power Grasp. Target one face-up card on the field that you can place a spell counter on. Place one spell counter on that target, then you can add one Spell Power Grasp from your deck to your hand. You can only activate one Spell Power Grasp per turn. I have 2 of that card, guys. Arcane Barrier. Each time a face-up spellcaster monster on the field is destroyed, place one spell counter on this card, max of 4. You can send this card and a face-up spellcaster monster you control to the graveyard. Draw one card for each spell counter that was on this card. Continuous. Sorry about my kids screaming, guys, if you can hear that. My wife is dealing with them right now, and they're apparently not happy. Next, Spellbook of Secrets. Add one spellbook card from the deck to your hand except Spellbook of Secrets. You can only activate one Spellbook of Secrets per turn. Spellbook of Power. Target one spellcaster monster you control this turn, it gains 1000 attack. If it does, each time it destroys an opponent's monster by battle this turn, you add one spellbook spell from your deck to your hand. You can only activate one Spellbook of Power per turn. Spellbook of Wisdom. Target one spellcaster monster on the field, then activate one of these effects. Face-up monster is unaffected by other spell and traps this turn, or that face-up monster is unaffected by traps this turn. Magical Blast. Inflicts 200 points of damage to your opponent for each spellcaster monster you control. During your draw phase, if this card is in your graveyard before you draw, you can give up your normal draw this turn, and if you do, add this card to your hand. Magical Dimension. If you control a spellcaster monster, target one monster you control. Tribute that. Then special summon one spellcaster monster from your hand. Then you can destroy one monster on the field. Terraforming. Add one spell card. Add one field spell from your deck to your hand. Left Arm Offering. If you have 2 or more other cards in your hand, banish your entire hand. Add one spell from your deck to your hand. You cannot set spell or traps during the turn you activate this card. Pot of Desires. Banish 10 cards from the top of your deck. Face down. Draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Pot of Desires per turn. Mythical Bestia Form. Trap card. It is continuous. Each time an opponent's monster effect is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card when that effect resolves. You can send this card with 6 or more spell counters to the graveyard. Add 1 spell from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect of Mystical Bestia Form once per turn. Pitch Black Power Stone. Continuous. Activate this card by placing 3 spell counters on it. Once per turn, during your turn, you can target one other face-up card on the field that you can place a spell counter on. Remove 1 spell counter from this card, and if you do, place that spell counter on the target. When the last spell counter is removed from this card, destroy it. Extra Buck is continuous. Each time a card is added to your extra deck, place 1 spell counter on this card, a max of 3. You can send this card with 3 spell counters to the graveyard, drop 2. Gaga Shield. Target 1 spellcaster you control. Equip this card to that target. Twice per turn, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. And finally, Magician's Circle. When a spellcaster monster declares an attack, each player special summons 1 spellcaster monster with 2,000 or less attack from their deck in attack position. Okay guys, that does it for the deck. As for what my opinion of it is, back when spell counters were relevant, the metagame was slower, it would have been a really good deck. As for the current game, my personal opinion is spell counters are a bit too slow, so I don't think that this deck is very viable in the current game, although it does have a lot of really good cards to acquire if you wanted a spellcaster deck. I know that Pendulum Magicians were meta for a while, so this deck might have more relevance than I'm personally seeing, but again, that's just my opinion. So remember, if you like the video, like it, share it, subscribe to me, hit the notification bell. Let's get 50 subscribers so I can start doing giveaways, guys. Until next time, game on!